Okay, so I just have a question. Okay. So I was out one day, and without sharing too much, the whole reason that I wanted to get out and just kind of be outside is because I wanted to be around people. Um, because I wanted to have a godly encounter. And what I have learned recently is that godly encounters usually happen with other people. So the whole reasoning for me wanting to get outside and get out the house and be out was to have a godly encounter with someone. And the funny thing about it is when I got out, when I got to where I was going, and I was actually I was getting out to ride the darts to the zoo, just for the experience. But at the same time, I wanted to be around people more, like in a confined space, as weird as that sounds. And so as soon as me and my children got out the car, some people stopped us, and the man, he asked me if I were trying to get a non-believer to believe, what would I say to them? And I was like, I don't know. Like, that's a really good question. I don't know what I would say to them. And I was like, I mean, more than anything, I like to try to focus on the relationship with God versus the religion itself. And so he just kind of started talking to me, and he was like, I kind of felt like he was hounding me when he was talking to me. And I feel like that's kind of something that I keep experiencing over and over again. It's something also that really bothers me, because I don't believe that that's the right way to get a non-believer to believe. You don't jump right into saying, you're doing this, and this wrong. I mean, I would think that you would kind of start off with love and security and kind of comfort, I guess. But he's just like, if you've ever lied, then that makes you a liar in God's eyes. If you've ever stolen, then that makes you a thief in God's eyes. But, God did send Jesus to die on the cross for your sins. And so now you have to live this righteous life because of that. And I don't disagree, but I don't think, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So if I were not a believer and you came up to me with, I'm a liar and I'm a thief, but the good thing about that is, Jesus died on the cross, so my sins are forgiven. But I do have to live a righteous life, though. Okay, like if you came up to me like that, if I was a non-believer, I'd be like, I don't know. Okay, sounds good. And then I'd walk off and be like, that man was crazy. But in reality, like, I feel like that's really how a lot of people do it these days. Like, they're just like trying to force things down your throat instead of actually giving you time to actually like have a real encounter with God and actually have a real experience with God to make you want to have a relationship with God. Like, for example, this girl that I work with, she was telling me about how when she was a child, and she doesn't believe in God, but she was telling me a story about how when she was a child, and this is what did it for her. When she was a child, she had to do confessions. Like, her family made her do confessions with the pastor, and she said they like locked her in the room with him, and she was so uncomfortable with the situation. She said she was just like crying and sobbing, and she was like, I want out of here, like, let me out here, I don't want to do this. And she said the pastor was like holding her hostage, like actually physically like holding her, and he was like, you cannot leave until you do these confessions. But to her, like, she's traumatized, and she still remembers it. And now, like, I kind of see, like, the more I learn about her, she's kind of like rebellious to me. Like, she's rebelling against all of these things, and it's really sad to me, because I feel like in a way that they failed her. Like, you're the people that are supposed to be bringing her close to God. You're the people that are supposed to be making her want a relationship, but you've completely pushed her away and made her go in her own direction because of the way that you treated her and traumatized her, really. And if that were me, I mean, if this is how godly people are, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want any parts of it, you know? And it's really sad. So, I mean, I guess ultimately my question is how would you personally, how would you bring a non-believer to God? How would you make a non-believer believe? What would you do? And how would you approach that? Because I feel like for me, I would really want to get to know that person, and I would really want to spend time with that person so that I can understand what's holding them back and what it is that's causing them to not believe and not want a relationship. And then I would try to get to the root of that, and I would just kind of try to show them what it's like to live a godly life just through the way that I love and the way that I care and the way that I don't judge, you know, and the way that I accept. And I would want them to see that this is what God has to offer you, not the trauma, not the judgment, not the shame, but the love and the comfort and the peace that comes along with the relationship. Because at the end of the day, once you get that relationship, everything else follows. You want to start living a righteous life. You want to start being a good person. You want to start doing nice things. Everything else follows. So I think we're going about it all wrong, honestly, and it really makes me sad. It really makes me sad, and I think that's what's wrong with the world is we go about things so wrong. And even if the intentions are good, the execution is terrible. So I'm just curious, you know, like, what would y'all do? How would y'all handle that? You know, what would you say?